accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. Join me if you can for the stand-in for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for the day. Thank you for the beauty of it. Thank you for the special place we get to call home or work or play, and some of us are lucky enough to get to do all of that here, and just thank you for that opportunity. Just guide our conversations tonight and our decisions and discussions. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Nicole, roll call.
Councilmember Cohen.
Here.
Councilmember Myers.
Here.
Councilmember Streetman.
Here.
Councilmember Bogosian.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Councilmember Pierce.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Miller. Here. Mayor Pound.
Here.
You have a quorum?
Thank you. First item is citizens' comments.
Mr. Simmons?
Comments.
Hey y'all, how's everybody doing? I guess something to hand out. Pictures.
Pictures are good, Bobby.
There we go.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, everybody can get in. All right, let's knock this out. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here tonight and letting me speak. So I'm here to discuss Acme and hopefully future Acme here on the Isle of Palms. Just to sum it up, I bought Acme back in 2008 when it was predominantly a late night bar and a place to grab brunch on the weekends. And like I like to say, we've transformed a bar that had a bar that had a kitchen into a restaurant that has a bar for the most part. I do not miss the late night phone calls or any of the shenanigans that went on then. So I've owned it for 18 and a half years now, and the building is not getting any younger any day. The maintenance on that building is getting more and more of a burden every year. I mean, it is an old beach house. And when we talk about like growth, about how much we're probably overworking a building that wasn't made for this. My oldest numbers that I have going back are hospitality taxes in 2013. We paid like $46,000 in hospitality taxes. And in 25, we paid $142,000 in hospitality taxes. So it's almost a $100,000 increase. Our business licensing taxes in 2013 were $3,700, and now they're $17,378 last year. So tremendous growth. You know, it's a great place to be. It's great that it's so family and welcoming, and so it's been great for us. But we have just outgrown it. So I came up with an idea that I would like to rebuild Acme behind Acme, a nice new building. And in doing that, I could keep the Acme I have now in business and keep the 80-plus people who work for me employed. It would be almost impossible to close up for a year and reopen and restaff with the way things are now. I'm so fortunate to have such a great long-term crew that that'd be hard. So my problem is the ordinance as it is now, I have to have a certain amount of parking. In this new plan here, I'm actually adding like 15 to 17 parking spots, and there'll be much more defined than what they are now, which is kind of the Wild West. People manage to park in the craziest ways. I'm sure y'all know this. And then even if that was okay, when I rebuild Acme, you know, I won't have enough space. So the idea is to rebuild Acme behind Acme, and then take where Acme is and turn that into the parking lot. Have it nicely landscaped and everything. I think it would look much better than what I have now, and very, very much more inviting. I've got.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
You are allowed 3 minutes. You're at 3 minutes, so.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'd like to.
I know, I understand. I'm just
Would like
telling everybody.
to suspend the rules of order to allow them to continue. This is a big presentation he's been working on for months. If we could
I'll wrap
get
it
a
up
second.
quick.
Second.
Rock on.
Okay, great. All right, cool. So let's see, where was I? Okay, so I have to have a certain amount of parking for a certain amount of tables. And every day I have so many people from the hotels and the rentals walking to my restaurant. Y'all see them on Front Beach. I mean, there's tons of people walking. And I just think it's crazy that I'm required to have all this parking when the people I can throw a rock and hit their business aren't required to have don't have these parking requirements. So I would like to look at something that we could do so I could rebuild this restaurant, keep it on the island, hopefully increase sales. You know, a private dining area. I turn down so many requests every week for private dining, for parties, for rehearsal dinners, graduation parties, birthdays. It'd be great to have them, and it'd be great to be able for the people who live here to have their party at Acme. That's pretty much the summation. I think y'all get it. I just need to, if we could look at this ordinance and see if there's anything we can do. It's not like I'm asking for the same thing as everyone else where I don't have any parking. I'm gonna have 52 parking spots with this plan here, right? No, I know.
34.
Yeah, 52 parking spots total, which is a lot. So to build a new restaurant, I need it to be bigger. I need more tables. I need more seats, or to pay for this. I would like to have a restaurant that had 225 to 250 seats, private dining area. And now I want to build something that's really nice. I don't have delusions of grandeur. I'm not bringing in tablecloths and any of that kind of stuff. We want to keep it the same way that we have it now. The same feel, maybe a little nicer on the inside and not so rustic as I keep hearing my place as just described. But anything would be great if y'all are willing to look at this and talk. I'd love to discuss it further with anyone or see some discussion on it, possibly changing.
Yeah.
Be a little better.
Can we ask a question?
Thank you, Bobby.
Can we ask a question?
Sure.
Bobby, what's your timing on that?
Okay, so we had these plans drawn up so we could show y'all. And then I would imagine if it was approved, we'd have to have a building drawn out. And I can't even imagine we would begin construction until after next summer. Because I don't want to be in the middle of construction in the summer. That's going to be chaos, not only for me, but for everyone around me. And I don't want to put anybody through that. So hopefully it could begin building, like October of, what's that, 2027? And
Yeah.
hopefully we'd be wrapping it up by the summer, or, getting it wound down.
So-
One would hope, so.
So would you be amenable to coming to the facilities committee meeting the next time we have one? And would that be the right?
Yeah, I was going
step.
to suggest, depending on where Bobby was winding up tonight, with not on our agendas, we can't do it tonight, to put it on the next council meeting. We can take it through committee or whatever, because it's just for level set, if you're okay with that, Douglas, we can. This little pie is GC3 in the code. Bobby's referencing Front Beach, which is GC2, which doesn't have the parking requirement to it. I know, I think we need to be really careful not to create some unintended consequences by changing code, but to Bobby's point, a lot of walk-up business, a lot of non-car required business. So I think we need to spend some time on this and see what our alternatives
Like
are.
a parking match or a parking credit of some sort would be awesome. We can't throw the rule books out because we don't want, like you said, some unintended consequence of someone coming in and building some monstrosity that no one wants to see, so.
Yeah. So Bobby, let us, if council's agreeable, we'll either take it to a committee or bring it back to full council and have this conversation to see what our options are. Head nods around.
Yeah.
Bobby, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do for our community.
Appreciate it. I'd like to stick around, it's riveting, but I'm really working.
I mean, you already sat through the budget thing. Yeah, that was impressive. Nicole, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Susan, thank you. Couple of presentations tonight. First is a beach renourishment project overview and timeline. Mr. Trainum, thanks for joining us. It is upon us. I hope.
It was on for Bobby to.
There it is. Good again. Okay. Before I start, I would like to say that the dozer at Acme is probably my favorite meal on the island, so anything we can do for them, I'm in full support of. So I think I've contributed to a pretty good bit of that establishment. So good to be here. Doug had asked that I kind of put together a little bit more of a broad presentation today that can kind of be a standalone presentation that may be able to be posted on the website and be useful for visitors or residents that may not be able to hear all these or may not be as familiar as you are with it. So I'll go into a little bit more background, but also recognizing that you have a very busy agenda. Try to move through it pretty quickly as well. So a quick outline, just discussion of general beach nourishment. What is it and what does it look like? Our project in 2026 and where we're at currently in the schedule that we're looking at for this project. So I actually have some videos today, and they're playing. Thank you, Josh, for helping me get this set up. Beach nourishment is the process of bringing sand into a system from an outside source. It's different than like a shoal manipulation project because you're actually adding sand to your system. That can be done via an offshore sand source or an inland sand source. Most commonly, it is an offshore source in the Carolinas area because we do have significant resources of sand offshore. So a lot of the beaches around here are eroding. They're losing sand year after year. This is a process to put that sand back so that you maintain or grow your shoreline position. And what that does is it allows you to maintain a healthy beach system, which gives you all the benefits of storm protection, reduction of damages from chronic erosion, better habitat, better recreational areas, and stuff again.
Batteries.
Batteries dead. So I'll keep going unless you tell me to stop, but it maintains the health of the island system.
Can you go sit my seat?
Yes, I can do that. All right, let's see here. I like this. This one on, okay, great. So why do we nourish beaches? Just mentioned most of those. The graphic on the right shows what a beach nourishment process looks like, where you build a construction berm. That construction berm is built by bulldozers that are shaping the sand that's brought in by the dredge. That template that we call it, that's the shape of the fill, doesn't always match the natural beach the day that they pump it because the bulldozers can't work underwater and a lot of the beach system is underwater. So we see a lot of adjustment of the profile right after the project's complete. We call that adjustment or equilibration. So over a period of a few months, that initial construction berm adjusts where sand is lost from the upper beach and deposited out in the low tide area, and that maintains our design profile. Following that, then you have your erosion that occurs year after year based off your historical erosion rates or any changes to the trends. So we add habitat, we eliminate the need for emergency control measures, maintain property values and tax base, and enhance the recreational beach. These are all goals of a beach nourishment project. So what does it look like for people who are using the beach during construction? This is, again, during construction, not after construction. But these projects do occur 24/7. They continue to go because it's very expensive to have the type of equipment and amount of personnel working. And they also try to work as much as they can during good weather. So they do work 24/7. The active construction site, the photos on the right show what a typical construction site looks like. Typically, they will close down around 500 to 1,000 feet of beach at a time. They will mark it off with orange safety fencing and put safety personnel on either end of the project to make sure beachgoers don't come into the active construction zone. Where they can, they maintain access behind the fill area. And you can see on that top photo, there are folks walking along the beach behind the active construction zone. Where the beach is really eroded, they can't always do that, so they may actually have to close off the entire beach area there. The equipment that they use includes bulldozers, loaders, excavators, Connex boxes that are kind of like mobile offices, and all that's seen on that bottom right photo. They take that material and they basically move that down the beach as they're extending the nourishment project along. So that 500 to 1,000 foot section is kind of a rolling closure area, and as they're making progress, that area moves down the beach in the direction that the sand's being added. The biggest impacts are the noise associated with the equipment. They are required by law to have backup alarms and nighttime lighting. So it can be a noisy operation around that active area, and I'll show you a video of that in a second. You'll see some equipment offshore, some pipe and floats that are marking the pipelines. So anybody on a boat fishing near shore may want to be aware of that. And then some things on the actual beach, the material coming out of a dredge pipe a lot of times has been underwater for hundreds or thousands of years, so it may be darker than the native beach for a period of time until the sun kind of bleaches it out. You may see temporary increases of turbidity in the water as some of the finer material is kind of washed out into the discharge. There may be pockets where you see higher accumulations of shell or mud, and that's just due to the material that's offshore. We wish it was just this great deposit of beautiful, clean sand, but that's just not what we have here in the center part of the state. So we've done a lot of work to identify areas that have good sand, but we may see pockets where the material changes, and we'll be down here every day monitoring that. And if they get into a lot of that, we will move the dredge within the bar area. Once a section is complete, they will have access ramps over the pipe so people can get out on the Nourish Beach, the day after it's complete and use that. The ramps will allow access over the pipe to the water. We do ask people not to be on the pipe and right around there because occasionally, it's just not a thing you want to do. You get all rusty anyway. We go next slide, please. This one, clicking. So how does the beach nourishment affect wildlife? That is a very significant part of the permitting and our work is to ensure that we're not just protecting wildlife, but we're enhancing the habitat. The permit requires shorebird monitoring before and after the project, and that's the before surveys have been complete. And we're looking for counts of red knots and piping plovers. We're also working with windows prescribed by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to minimize impacts to shorebirds and sea turtles. For sea turtles, we're working closely with the Island Turtle Team ahead of the project to ensure that any nests laid in areas that are going to be nourished are identified, and if in any kind of jeopardy are relocated to a safe place. During the project, we will have nighttime monitors full-time within the active fill area looking for any turtles that are crawling onto the beach or any nesting activity. If any turtle is observed, the work shuts down until that turtle is returned to the ocean. And again, working with the local turtle team every morning to sign off to say the beach is clear of any nest before they move the active fill site. There's also other guidelines for manatees and whales that we're working with the dredger and making sure that they're in compliance with. Next slide. Again, for public safety, again, we would ask the public avoid the active construction zone. It will be clearly marked. Marinix is the contractor that will have staff on site full-time monitoring the activity, and the city's beach patrol will be kind of on standby if needed. Marinix can call them and deal with any issues that we may have there. The heavy equipment leaving the active construction site will have an escort, meaning a UTV will be ahead of the equipment to make sure that no body or fauna are in the way of the equipment moving. I mentioned some of the nighttime stuff and the backup alarms. Right at the discharge site where those areas of higher turbidity are, it's probably not the best place to swim just because you are swimming in discharge from a dredge from, again, sand that has been underwater for thousands of years. So, but there's no issues of toxicity or anything like that. It's just muddy water. Next slide. So what to expect after nourishment? This is a photo of the 2018 project, and this is actually after one of a high tide and storm event that we had that washed over the berm, and you could see some of the ponding that was present. And that's going to happen when you have such a wide berm. It's really nothing that you can control. We do put a slope on the berm to try to promote drainage during these events, but for a period of months, we kind of have to let this happen to let the beach kind of manipulate into a natural profile, a natural kind of drainage system where this doesn't happen as much. But during these king tides or storm events, you may see temporary ponding. It lasts for a day or two before the water kind of settles back through the sand or drains out. Again, you may see darker sand. You may see a little bit steeper beach initially. Over time, it does flatten out to a natural profile. And immediately after the project, they also till the beach, which reduces the compaction, which helps sea turtles nest appropriately. So it can be pretty soft right after they till it. Again, for a couple of weeks or months, it's just something to kind of be aware of. It does pretty quickly kind of level out and be turn into kind of a natural berm. Next slide. This one has sound, and I'll let that play for a second so you can hear the backup alarms. But this is working up near the Beechwood area in the 2018 project. So that's kind of what it looks like when it's working close to the house. Again, this area would be closed to the public because there's not enough room on the landward side for public to be able to get behind the site. But 2 or 3 of these dozers are pretty much working constantly, so you'll hear these backup alarms as they're pushing up sand into a dune or flattening out the berm. But the overview of the project, it's a 2.5 million cubic yard project. Fortunately, we had a very favorable bid price that allowed us to do the full permitted scope of work. We have 900,000 cubic yards in Reach 1, which is the north end of Wild Dunes, 800,000 yards in Reach 2, which is more the south end of Wild Dunes down to 53rd Avenue, and 800,000 yards in Reach 1, which is Breach Inlet to the pier. That's equivalent to about 166,000 dump trucks, your normal standard dump truck. So to put that into some perspective, and we're looking at a construction schedule from July to November. Next slide, please. So what will it look like? Again, this idea of a cubic yard, I know that's a number people don't deal with a lot. It's cubic yard is a 3 by 3 by 3 foot volume. One dump truck on the road typically holds about 15 cubic yards. And when you put a cubic yard of sand on every foot of beach that you have, that basically adds about 1.5 feet of beach width. So when we're saying we're going to add 100 cubic yards per foot of sand, when everything kind of evens out and the beach profile adjusts, you can expect to see at least 150 feet of new beach width in that area. Some areas up in the Wild Dunes area, we're going to increase the beach width by over 600 feet. We do consider how sand moves in these areas, and that does include looking at the current configuration of the shoals that are attaching on the east end to try to make the sand last as long as it can in these fill areas. Down south of the pier, the average beach width is going to increase by around 150 feet, in some cases a little bit more. And we do expect to see significant spreading of sand, especially south of that eastern or the northeastern end of the island. So areas that aren't nourished around 53rd Avenue, 51st to 55th area, they will be receiving a lot of natural sediment transport immediately after this project. So we're putting it in the most eroded areas now in an effort to get the most longevity out of the project, knowing how sand's going to move. Next slide. So again, the project overview, that's fine. We have 3 fill reaches, 1 and 2 at the northeast end of the island, and then reach 3 down at the south end of the island. The Barra area is kind of right off the center of the island, about 1.5 miles to 2 miles offshore. Next slide. The type of dredge is called a cutter head suction dredge. It's basically a big barge and a big vacuum with 12,000 horsepower of pump on it. It can move up to about 50,000 cubic yards a day. But when you add weather and mechanical breakdowns and moving the dredge, we expect to average 20 to 25,000 yards per day. We expect to move along the beach about 100 to 250 feet per day. So any particular property, as they move that construction zone through it, if weather is favorable and they're moving pretty well, could expect to see the fill in front of them for 2, 3, maybe 4 days. If they do have a shutdown for weather or mechanical breakdown, they may stay at that spot a little bit longer. But they will shrink their footprint if they're down to try to minimize disturbance to the area. Next slide. To kind of go reach by reach, the northeast reach, Reach 1, It's 900,000 cubic yards. Again, the maximum berm width there is about 700 feet. We are including a dune along that area. Anywhere on this project, we are not working under decks, patios, porches, or erosion control structures. We will work around them as much as possible. There will be a dune built in areas that currently don't have a significant primary dune, and the city's looking at planting the entire dune system after the project in areas that don't have any vegetation currently growing. Next slide. Reach 2, that's the area including the Wild Dunes Grand Pavilion, Beechwood East, which has been a erosional hotspot in the past few years. Again, 800,000 cubic yards of sand, berm widths of about 550 feet. We have tweaked the fill a little bit to put more sand towards the eastern part of that reach in effort to prolong the life of sand maintaining within that reach. And that's based off performance of the last 2 projects. We kind of went back and took a very close look at how sand was moving in the first few years after a project and feel this is the best way to get the most life out of the project. Next slide. Reach 3. Reach 3 has seen a lot of natural recovery. I walked most of the reach just a little while ago at high tide, and there's anywhere from 80 to 150 feet of dry sand along most of that entire reach now. A lot of that is accumulations that are now moving up the profile from the Corps of Engineers project. So we're seeing a lot of natural recovery there of the dune and the dry beach, but we're still going to add 800,000 cubic yards of sand there, which will initially build the berm out close to 300 feet. Once it adjusts, it'll be closer to 200 feet or so, but it'll be a very significant project along the south end. Next slide. Sandbags will be removed. The city opened bids for that last week and are negotiating with the low bidder there to remove sandbags as part of this project. That is required by the state that these bags come out ahead of or in conjunction with the nourishment project. So we will be doing that. We're going to do it in a way where we ensure protection of the buildings. So anywhere where the sandbags are currently providing protection, we will be working with the nourishment contractor and the contractor to remove the sandbags to make sure we're not leaving buildings vulnerable while the 2 projects are occurring at the same time. Next slide. One of the permit conditions required us to notify that any work that is beyond the city's work, so landward of the city's fill area, does require a separate independent permit from those local owners. So if owners are looking to fill additional areas along their private property, landward of the easement line, between houses or under houses, anywhere that's in the state's jurisdiction, they would require a separate permit by the state through DSBCM. Most of that would be a minor dune nourishment permit, but anything, if owners are looking at installing their own sand fencing or dune vegetation, they do require a permit. Private dune walkovers can be extended without a permit, provided they do follow state regulations. They have some instructions on, they have to be less than 6 feet wide, made of wood or wood-like material, and those are available on the state's website. But they do not actually, dune walkovers do not require a permit, provided they are in compliance with state code. Next slide, we're wrapping up here. We did do a lot of work to assure that we're not damaging coastal resources or cultural resources in the offshore Barra area. There are several shipwrecks within or nearby the Barra area that we identified and worked closely with the State Historic Preservation Office. The big ones were the Constance Mary Bowers in Georgiana. And this is a photo or a side scan image that we obtained of one of those. So we've installed buffers around those in the Barra area to make sure we don't damage those or any portions of the Second Stone Fleet, which is also around that area. But we have procedures in place should any artifacts be discovered during the project. We'll work with the Historic Preservation Office and Institute of Archaeology and Anthropology. Next slide. So I guess the big news here is the construction timetable, and every time I talk about dredging windows and construction timetables, there's a big red flag that goes up on they are subject and will change, and they tend to always change to the latter. So we're holding a pre-construction meeting with the agencies on the 30th of June Marinex has indicated that they are starting mobilization in early July, and the first pumping should be sometime right around mid-July. They are currently finishing a small project in Charleston Harbor for the Coast Guard with the Wadmalaw, which is the dredge they will be using. The anticipated duration is 50 days approximately for the Reach 1, 45 days for Reach 2, and 45 days for Reach 3. So we would be wrapping up Reach 3 right around the end of November with this schedule. Again, this may change, especially if we have a big storm event or anything that comes through in September or October. They would demobilize from the site to protect their equipment and then remobilize. But this does include weather delays and things, so it's a realistic schedule. It's not overly optimistic. Next slide. I think that's it.
Questions? Comments? Scott?
Yeah, this is more of a curiosity question. When I was looking at your slides on the different reaches, it looks like Reach 3 is like twice the length of Reach 1 and 2, but you've got a shorter duration. Is there some special sauce that makes them go quicker on the?
It's more the volume is similar. So it's not the length, it's the volume of sand that they're adding. So it's 45 days.
It's going to be a lot less concentration on the south end, is that?
It'll be a thinner fill down there. I think the average is 100 and something, low hundreds cubic yards per foot. I think it's 140 cubic yards per foot or so, which is a little lower than the east end, but it has a lower erosion rate and a generally better condition along most of it. So again, it's the volume of sand is what's driving their duration, not the length of it.
Mayor, we had a handful of slides just to go through what the city is doing, just to get the word out. And if there's questions for Stephen, we could do that, or I'll be just a couple of minutes
Okay.
going through. kind of
Rusty, you,
Yeah.
your question for Stephen?
Yeah, it's a comment really for the group and maybe even Chief Cornett. Back when we had the last major renourishment, and Jimmy Ward may remember this because he would have been the only one here on council. There were a number of complaints about, the trucks going back and forth up and down Palm. Do you remember that, Douglas?
Yeah.
And particularly with all the construction and contractor traffic we have out here. So I guess my caution on that would be while we're in Reach 1 and 2, we really ought to have enhanced patrol enforcement or whatever to make sure that we can control traffic a little better. Thumbs up? Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
I should mention that Marinex is considering mobilizing a significant part of their heavy equipment by barge on the Dewey's Inlet shoreline, which would reduce the large trucks and
Okay.
heavy equipment mobilizing through either 42nd Avenue or 53rd Avenue, one of those.
Good. Thank you.
Josh, will you put up, kind of outreach dashboard?
Douglas,
So-
just real
Yeah, go
quick.
ahead.
Just
For
one or
Stephen.
two more questions. When you said temporary for the dark sand, what does that mean in your experience?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
sometimes the sand comes out and it almost looks black when you're looking at it coming out of the pipe. But within a few days, it lightens up to a much lighter gray color.
Okay.
And then within several weeks, it lightens up into, more of a tannish, pretty
Okay.
indistinguishable from the native beach sand.
I just
It's-
wanted to clarify only because I'm scarred from the Army Corps mud balls.
Yes, and, there may be periods where we see temporary, accumulations of mud balls, but what we tend to do is, it takes 15 minutes for the material to go from the dredge to the beach, just through the pipe. So we don't want to shut them down the first mud ball we see. We want
No.
to say, is this starting to be a significant problem? And if it is, then we move the dredge within the Barra area.
Okay.
So you may see temporary accumulations of that, but if it becomes anything significant, we move them.
But it's monitored and you correct.
It's
make the
monitored, and I
correction.
believe there is a permit condition that if there is a certain volume of accumulation, then they're required to remove those from the beach.
Okay.
And Stephen, you had Cannonball last time, right? Didn't we?
2008, we had the cannonball.
No, wait, yeah.
Yes.
And then one more
Carrie,
question.
you've got that in your display, don't you?
Sorry.
Yep.
The access points for the construction trucks and can we assume that it's for Reach 1 and 2, that it's property owner's beach house again, or is
Most of the heavy equipment will be coming in either through a barge along Dewey's Inlet.
Oh, okay.
Or likely through one of the avenues, either 42nd or 53rd Avenue, or
Okay.
potentially 27th Avenue, because they're wider and less damaging. The property owner's beach house may be used for daily, like, small trucks, but nothing major.
So will those access points then be closed? Can we expect that? I'm just thinking what we
The,
need to expect
the way
during
these
it.
projects work is they bring all the equipment in at one time.
Okay.
And so then it all moves out to the beach and within their project area.
And so it doesn't move back and forth? And
It doesn't constantly go back and forth. They may bring a truck to one of these access points every other day to fuel up. So they'll have a fuel truck meet them and fill up their mobile fuel truck. But it won't be regular heavy equipment going through these points. Wild Dunes has offered an area where the contractors can park their vehicles, their daily vehicles to get out on site. So we're working with them for the access there.
Thank you.
Scott?
Yeah. Speaking of the cleanup, do we have any update, and I know I haven't been out there for a while, but is there any update on the cleanup before the nourishment down at the south end? From
Army Corps?
Yeah, Army Corps was, I mean, it was the imminent next week.
And
but-
Robert, so they were supposed to be out this week, and I think Stephen was saying there were signs that they were out earlier this week, but I think just maybe just Monday and Tuesday. I don't-
Yesterday is when they were loading trucks down at that.
So is it ongoing, or are they, again, declaring victory, or?
So the Army Corps, the way they've done this time is contracted them for 10 full days. They were a little bit unsure as to whether that would be 5 2-day deployments, 2 5-day deployments, how they would do it. So I haven't heard the final breakdown of how they would spread those 10 days. But it definitely is a situation where they will be there, they will work, they then will leave, and some sand will move around, and then, 2 weeks later, new spots will start to arrive. So they have tried to address that by having just a block of time under contract that they can send them out more flexibly.
Yeah, and I'll just bring this up one last time, but I think until the dumping that occurred below the low tide line. So, and that went on for weeks. And it was in the dark of night, and they just kept pumping and pumping and trucking. And I think until somebody takes a look a little bit below the low tide line, it's just going to keep spitting that stuff up. But somebody needs to take a look at it. Otherwise, we're going to be putting great sand over not so great sand.
We have relayed that to the Army Corps.
But they don't seem to be doing anything about it. Is there a way to get them to do anything about it?
I mean, how many feet of sand are we getting ready to dump down here?
Well, I guess the question is, and I think everybody wants to know, Philip, is the plan just to bury it? And if it is, then it gets buried. But instead of
So
cleaned up.
what's the answer to my question? I mean, roughly, how many feet of sand are we getting ready to dump on this end?
200 feet of width.
Depth.
Vertical, the low tide line, you're dumping 5 to 6 vertical feet.
Of sand? Seems
Yeah,
like
I
that would
think
take
so.
care of it.
If it's out in the water, I think.
It wasn't that far, but I'll leave it alone.
So to kind of dovetail into Stephen's information, we get a lot of inquiries about, just about the project. Kind of most common is when will the equipment be in front of us? And these are people looking to visit, they're property owners, curious about when to expect the equipment to be in front of them. So we have really for a number of months been trying to kind of get people accustomed to landing on the city's beach website. There is a page dedicated to the project on the city's website. We have been posting on social media. We've been putting it in the newsletter. We have been posting on other people's social media sites and trying to drive all of that traffic to the beach page specifically. On the right screen there, that is the map, and I think it's already, and my eyes are bad, but it's already the #1 kind of viewed page for the city, so we do know that it's getting a lot of attention before the project even starts. And we're hoping that that attention will build through the project, and it will become kind of the routine landing spot for people to see, get updates. And we hope that we can take the slides that Stephen provided earlier and provide more detailed information about when they will be at a specific address. You know, we'll have to give a disclaimer that it's subject to change, but our best guess seems to be what a lot of people are looking for. So we're going to provide that to them. We have had a lot of inquiries, not only via phone, social media, but news media is very interested in the project. So we have been trying to kind of use all of those tools to our advantage, and again, kind of steer traffic to this city's webpage as a landing spot for all of our information. Joshua, anything? That's pretty well it. I mean, these are examples of posts that Joshua's made, and people are taking notice of it, reposting it, and it's getting a fair amount of attention. There's also the other Facebook groups that are taking the information and running with it, reposting it. And then I think the final slide has a picture of Scott on TV. Oh, we're not there. Yeah. And then news media. I mean, that's how I think we feel like a lot of people will become aware. So we will be reaching out to anybody who'd like to talk to the news media about the project and just continue to get the word out.
Other questions from communication standpoint, or Stephen?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Next is an update for our Environmental Advisory Committee. Laura Levens, chairperson, is here tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Is it clicker?
Should be right there.
You got it there.
Oh.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think this is working. Yes, great. Thank you.
Our attorney took it.
Now, the question is, do I know how to work it? So thank you very much for letting me come tonight. I was here around the same time last year and was able to provide an update on the work that we were doing, basically from like the end of '24 into this time of '25. So tonight I wanted to give you an update on where we are from from June of '25 up to now. And yay. Our vision is to work towards making IOP a coastal leader in environmental best practices. And working is the operative word. We do have a lot of work to do, but that's our goal. And our mission is to advise you, City Council, on matters of environmental impact, protections, conservation, and sustainability by exploring best practices and data. And we really have 4 pillars, 4 focus areas. We are looking to help the city reduce litter, waste, and pollution. We want to help protect wildlife and habitat. We want to be in advocacy and leadership in climate action, and we want to look at maintenance of water quality. This slide was actually the first slide that I presented last year, and this is our light pollution initiative. And Todd Murphy was the originator of this study back in actually January of '25, and he's been continuing to work very diligently on revisions with the City Planning Commission, and we hope that there'll be some agreement soon and that you, council, will be able to approve the new changes to our existing light ordinances. These ordinances this ordinance actually went into effect like in the 1990s, so there's quite a bit of updating that we would like to see happen. And just to let you know, I looked at, there's a Bortle scale, which is what this graph is based off of. And a Bortle scale is basically a 9-level numeric system that measures the brightness of our skies at night. in specific locations, and it indicates how light pollution affects visibility of celestial objects. And as of 2025, the light pollution index, the Bortle index for IOP was 5.7. In 2022, which is where this graph stopped, it was 5.5. So we've had a 5% increase even from this graph to where we are now. And so the goal is to, not just for wildlife, but for people too. Light pollution definitely has a negative effect on people and our way of being. So we want to see possible changes and be more in line with other communities like Folly Beach and Sullivan's Island and Kiowa and Edisto too. Litter and waste, we're continuing our partnership with Smart Recycling. We received, I think it was 300, Josh, new bins, composting bins. We had another grant from DES, and the EAC is going to be out at the farmers markets at the rec center during the summer to help deliver those out to people who don't have them. And we still have the recycling at Carmen Bunch Park and the marina that are still being maintained, the actual waste liners that they actually replenish for us. We have a new implementation of a hybrid approach to litter removal. As many of you probably know, there was a contractor that was doing a lot of the beach removal, litter removal on the beach. His truck could not accommodate cans that had lids. He passed away, and his son tried to take over the business for him. Didn't work out really well because he was working full-time. And so we were tasked with trying to come up with a hybrid approach to a new litter removal program. And so this approach was put into effect on Front Beach, the commercial area, and also in the municipal parking lot in the fall of 2025. We're working with Trident Waste. And the new plan replaces those yellow cans, and we have a combination of corrals. You can see this one is at 25th and also 26th, the beach path. And there'll be more introduced throughout the year. And then we have regular cans that are on the beach paths. They're before the dunes, but they are on the beach paths. And we can't do corrals on every beach path because they have to be handled by machines, obviously the Trident Waste machines, but the cans that are out on the beach paths before the dunes, the crews from Trident can go out and roll those cans out to the trucks and then dump them as needed. But the corrals are obviously more expensive, so we wanted to come up with kind of a combination. And Robert's been working very closely with us on this, and there'll be more corrals put out after July 4th. But we're working with these two now, and the rest of the paths have the cans that are on the paths but before the dune areas. We were also approached in September of last year by Mujeres Latinas de Carolina del Sur, and they have a community project called Waves of Change. It's a cleanup station and toy bin set up. And they wanted to install these cleanup stations at many of our beach paths, and we decided to do a test project with them at the 25th Beach Access Path, because we wanted to make sure that, we would love it to just be for toys, and that the bins that are used for trash are used just for trash. But obviously, people sometimes do throw trash in the toy bins, and we wanted to monitor that. So between Public Works and also our cleanup crew, they're helping to monitor the toy bin, and if everything goes smoothly through this summer, we will look at installing more of these along the beach paths. And this is a no-cost project for the city, and it really does enhance the need for not having to leave, buckets and all kinds of different beach toys on the beach. You can pick them up. If your kids don't want them anymore, put them in the bin, and they don't become litter.
Hey, Laura, real quick on this one.
Yeah.
I don't how long has this one been out there?
It was put up in May, I believe.
Okay, so-
before Memorial Day
Got
weekend.
it.
Yeah.
So recent. I've heard from a couple of residents that live around the 25th access point, which is where this is, right?
Yes. Mhm.
not wholly in favor of the look, feel, content, potentially snake area, whatever. Because right there, we have that plus a pet waste dispenser plus trash cans. It's
Yeah,
just, there's-
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
We
reasonable
may-
to look and see, we're pushing people into the dunes potentially, and, it's quite colorful, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we may want to look at moving it if that's necessary.
Yeah, and again, that's just a couple of people.
Just a
I'm not
couple
saying
people,
it's,
yeah. Well, it was ironic because I was out in Isle of Palm, or in, I should say, Wild Dunes, and I went to the property owner beach house this weekend. And when I came out, there's a toy bin that's not from them, but there is a toy bin. And somebody had thrown an entire bag of potato chips that had not been opened. But I don't know if they thought people were going to take that bag and take it home with them. I don't know, but I picked it up and put it in the garbage. Okay. Just real quick, we still have our wonderful plant garden, native plant garden that was installed it's in its third season. We actually now have 2 Purple Martin gourd stands up, and we're up to 16 families of Purple Martins that are there this year versus 14 from last year. And Mary Pringle, who is no longer with our committee, she lives nearby, and she and many of the residents are loving it and taking care of it, and it's still a lovely place to visit. So I encourage you all to get out. And the Purple Martins love it because they love insects and mosquitoes, and the marsh is right across the street from them, so they're fat and happy. This is something that we're real proud of. This is our habitat and wildlife display that we did at the IOP, the new IOP Marina. And Susan Hill Smith and I spearheaded this work. It was 14 months to almost to the day when the dock was unveiled. And we came up with an idea to put environmentally informational signs, an eco sign project. And we worked with Caitlin Hackathorn. I found her through contacts I have with DNR, and she used to work with them. And she did all the fabulous designs and graphics for us. If you all get SIP Magazine, there's a wonderful article that Susan submitted, and it's in SIP Magazine that has all the pictures and a write-up of the project. And we got great support from you all, the city, and also from the outpost at IOP Marina, Islander 71, and Barrier Island Eco Tours financially to help fund the project. And we're hoping this fall, there's going to be a bit of a event that the rec center is going to be doing in October at the marina and at the pier, and that's going to involve the sign project. And we're hoping we can do some kind of a ribbon cutting maybe and a little bit of a celebration because we haven't done anything yet. And it actually went into place in April. So, but people are really enjoying it, and I'm getting really positive feedback on it. So if you haven't been out, please check it out. We also, in the spring of '25, we started working on a language to ban the use of glyphosate, which is basically the main element of Roundup on city-owned or managed properties. This was in response to information that we got from some residents and also from 11 other cities or states with cities that have put bans on it, either at the state or local level. And so we were thrilled that an ordinance was put through, and on October 28th, we have ordinance 2025-11 to ban glyphosate on city property, which was ratified by you all, and we thank you for that. We're working on more education for other area, for Wild Dunes specifically, and it's used quite a bit on the golf courses, and we're not going to be able to necessarily change that, but a lot of the landscapers who do service Wild Dunes are pretty much on board with limiting the use of glyphosate. I've spoken with them, and they're okay with it, and they know that it's better for the environment. Right now, we're working on a lot of the initiatives that were brought to us by the Community Enrichment Plan, which was put forth in 2025. And one of the items that was requested was that we partner with the South Carolina Aquarium Sea Rice Citizen Science Project, and we ordered 5 signs, and we have 3 that have been put up so far. We have one at 25th, that's another sign, 25th Avenue Beach Path. We have one at 28th Avenue, and we have one at 29th and Palm Court. And I was actually out Friday when we had that big rain event, and there's a lot of ponding around 34th and Palm, and so we may look at that as a place. And this is a project for people, they see flooding, the sign has a ruler on it, they can see how high the water is, they can take a picture of it, it has a QR code, they can load that up, and this information actually goes to NOAA. And it's something that the city can use for future drainage projects as well. We can monitor where there has been a problem, and if drainage projects can be put in place, and then we can look at, after the fact and see positive changes. So we're really happy about that. We're working on a native tree guide, and we're also looking at possibly updating some of the tree ordinances to help educate residents and commercial entities on how planting and protecting native trees can have a positive effect on our island's climate by increasing the tree canopy. I've been coordinating with Catherine Min, who is with the South Carolina Office of Resilience. It's called SCORE. And she's going to hopefully be coming in this fall to do a Resilience 101 training that she does, and it would be for a combination of council, mayor, EAC, and even possibly the planning commission. And another initiative that the Community Enrichment Plan asked for was to have us join SASME, which is the South Atlantic Salt Marsh Initiative. And I joined on behalf of the city and on behalf of EAC, and went to Fort Johnson to learn more about how important the salt marshes are for indicating changes for our climate, and I did that in the fall of last year. Finally, a big project that we started last year that went through into this year, and again, I talked about this, was our maintenance of water quality. And we did the outfall testing last year. We tested water from 25th Avenue, outfall 36 and Forest Trail and Myrtle Avenue. We found very negative results as far as high nitrates, nitrogen, phosphorus, and indicating that there were issues. And so we went back this year with a company called Wolpert, and they helped us do targeted DNA testing of water from those outfalls. So they went out, and I went with them to show them exactly where the outfalls were, and they took water samples, and they used a product called Fluidian, and that determines if there's enough bacteria in the water to then move forward to do DNA testing, because it's, you don't want to waste your money on DNA testing if it doesn't really make sense. And in all 3 instances, they found enough E. coli, which was the contaminant bacteria, to go forward with doing DNA testing. And we specifically chose human, dog, and then elk and deer as the 3 types of DNA that we wanted to look for. And we did it during a water event, and then we did a second testing during a dry weather event. And in both cases, the good news is there was no human waste found. However, dog waste was the big culprit that was creating the E. coli, the fecal contamination that was in the water levels in those 3 outfall areas. And I want to clarify, because I was asked by some residents to do that, it's the excess nutrients in the E. coli and dog waste that's harmful to salt marshes, and specifically Spartina, which is our cordgrass. And technically, E. coli is a primary indicator of fecal contamination, but the raw waste is the part that can degrade the salt marshes and cordgrass. It can contaminate the cordgrass through eutrophication, which is basically where the dog waste totally eliminates all the oxygen. So when you see fish kills off the coastline from both farming and also from chemicals that are coming from plants, chemical plants or industrial plants, and you see fish kills, it's because the oxygen levels are being totally depleted in the water and the fish can't live. Well, the same thing happens with the E. coli in the marshes. In order for the Spartina grass to stay healthy, it needs oxygen. And the algal blooms, which is the eutrophication, can take all of the oxygen that is needed out of the water, and also our fish and our shellfish also can't live. So that's part of why the E. coli, even though it's not from humans, but it's from dogs, can be a problem. And then there's also the organisms that are in the E. coli can also cause disease in the host plants, in this case, cordgrass. And dog waste carries dozens of transmissible bacteria and parasites, and these contaminants have a negative effect on the estuarian water, and again, can kill the marsh grasses, our shellfish, our fish, and even it's bad for humans who are out kayaking or boating in the waters. So we wanted to start, the next step really for us with this water quality is to start looking at what is happening with our marshes. And in order to do that, we're going to have to work probably with the South Atlantic Salt Marsh Initiative and the people there that know more about the ecosystem of the marshes. We can't really use Woolpert for testing of the marsh waters because there's too many other animals that also poop, frankly, in the waters. And so it's really not going to give us a clear sample of what's going on. But we want to start to check the actual Spartina grasses and see if there's a problem, because there are other states that are seeing degradation in their salt marshes, and the grass looks healthy at the top, but when they start to examine the root systems, they're finding that the root systems are being degraded and they're losing their grasses. So that's really our next big step with the water quality testing. And we still have a lot more of the initiatives, again, with the resilience items that we need to work on. And I hope to come back next year with even more information. And I really appreciate your time today. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Question for Rusty?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. With the waste, the animal waste, it's good to know that we don't have a human waste problem, but
Right.
you could make an argument that it is a human problem because all of our dogs are on leashes. So animal poop that's getting in the marshes
Right.
is a result of an owner not picking up.
They're
after
not
the dog.
picking up after. And that's an education process that we're going to be working on.
That was the comment.
That
I
was your
gonna make.
comment, yeah,
With the resilience office or whatever, part of this is educational.
Yes, very
information, right?
much so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I wrote, I don't know if, I wrote an article about it, and luckily I got it published in both the Island Eye News and the Island Vibe News, or Island Vibe. We have information that we have now, we have posters, and again, out at the farmers market, we have information that we're trying to provide to people. There's also going to be a program called Duty Calls, which is a pest or a dog waste station that the city's going to be putting in once the waterway drainage project is fully completed. And we want to see, these are actual waste stations where there's bags and then, a container for people to put the dog waste into. Because what's happening is a lot of times people are picking it up, they're putting it in a bag, but then they're throwing it into someone's yard, like someone's had their trees trimmed, right? And they're throwing it on top of the tree trimmings, and then it's getting knocked off and it rains, and then washes into the marshes. So we want to see how this duty calls project works once we get those installed, and then go back maybe and I made a note, in maybe 2 years, and do a retest and see if the E. coli from the dogs has come down, to any significant level. And if not, then we need to still do more education and work with owners. We can't really control people who are letting their dogs poop in their yards, but on the streets, yes, we can. Anything else?
Thank you and your team for the work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. And I wanted to acknowledge the rest of the committee, because we have a new student member, Charlotte, and we have Britton Foy is new to the team, and Sean was there last year, so was Cindy, and then Susan Hill-Smith is now on the committee. So they're all very helping on different initiatives, so that it's not just me, but I'm the chair, so I get to be here to do the presentation and answer any of the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
They put
much.
in a whole lot of time and energy, so thank you very
Yeah,
much.
and Katie is our, yes, thank you. Okay.
Right, thank you,
I'm done.
Laura. Next item is approval of previous meetings minutes, city council meeting on May 26, 2026. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Any edits, changes, comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Douglas, is Ashley still with us?
Joshua, is she there?
She's all right, good. Under procurement, a number of these have been covered at Ways and Means, so we'll attempt to go through quick unless you have questions. First one is consideration of award of a bid to John C. Craven Roofing for $23,075 for City Hall roof installation. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
Douglas, any change, update? No. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item, consideration of July 26 purchase. Chief, you're jumping on it, man. We haven't even started the printing presses yet, and you're jumping on this purchase. 3 SUVs and 1 truck. You can see the budget amount and the numbers there, so under budget. Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Douglas, any updates on this one? Just go. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Chief, not to be outdone, also spending new money in the new fiscal year. Consideration of July 2026 purchase of 2 trucks and 1 ATV from Hendrick and John Deere. You can see the numbers there. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consideration of AI signal software, Rhythm, $127,400 initially, excluding installation, and $3,690 annually. And you can see the budgeted amounts there. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
John, we just came through public safety. What's the timing on installation? It'll be, I can't remember, was it in the packet?
I think they're planning on starting soon
Soon.
after the contract
Okay.
is awarded to them, yeah.
Douglas, anything here? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Consideration of award of a contract to PCS for the removal of sandbags for an amount of $54,000. You can see the budgeted amount there. Stephen just talked about this. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Douglas, on this, I guess they will be starting pretty darn quick, right?
Yeah.
Because they need to be, what do you say,
Supposed
Stephen,
to be
15 days ahead of?
ahead of the area being renourished, so it needs to start very quickly.
Yeah.
There's a
And-
big discrepancy in the
In the
In the bids?
in the bids.
Crazy.
Yeah, the low bidder is the vendor who placed almost all of the bags, so I don't know if that would be his familiarity with what's in place.
With what's
I don't
out
know.
there.
He did also remove the last set of bags that we had removed. Only other thing to add is this money is, money to cover this work is sitting in escrow with BCM. We had to have that money held by them, so we will actually get back more than it costs us to pick them up.
And this is fixed, this is a fixed price? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we, if they were to, so we did designate a width, a depth, a length. If they, and we've indicated that if they were to find bags that were unbeknownst to them and needed to be removed additionally, that we would consider a change order, but we don't expect that to happen. So it is set for the
Hopefully,
embankment.
since he put them there, he'll know where they are.
How far down to go get them, though, some of them.
And part of this work is going to be coordinating with BCM, that they will be, when the trench is open, they would like to come, look, verify that all the bags are removed fully, so.
Other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item, consideration of a change order from CSE to cover additional monitoring services for beach renourishment project as required by the state permit conditions for an amount of $215,904. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Douglas?
Yeah, these are, this is additional monitoring work that we were not, well, I don't know the level, if we expected this or not, but it was not included in the existing monitoring contract that we have or the construction administration contract that we have. So this is work outside of both of those existing agreements.
Well, and we didn't know what would be in the permit requirements, right?
That's correct,
So, I mean,
yes.
Stephen, you could have put a number in, but till we got that permit, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So once we got the permit, we went through all the conditions, and Stephen has told us what it would cost to have CSE complete all of that work. It would, council, I would say, has a choice to make in terms of, some of this work happens immediately. Some of this sample gathering has to happen before the project begins, so it's imminent. Other parts of this work are out on the horizon. Parts of it are even outside of this fiscal year, so it's the will of council if you're comfortable doing all of the work at this point, or if you'd like to engage CSC for portions of it, that's kind of up for your decision.
It's good Stephen's still here. I mean, I wouldn't mind
So he wasn't going anywhere.
couple questions, Stephen, but I think Douglas alluded to some of it's immediate and required for the project, and others are kind of longer term monitoring, maybe in conjunction with other monitoring that we do. Can you tell me what pieces of this are required, like for the renourishment project, the immediate renourishment project?
Sure. So there's only two, well, maybe three immediate things that are required. One would be beach sediment samples. The state required, they originally required samples to be taken every 200 feet along the beach and then 4 samples at each station, which would have been 400 samples in a very expensive effort. I reached out to the state and asked they reconsider that, so they reduced that to 1,000-foot spacing. So that knocked that price down significantly, which is why we had a revised proposal sent. So that has to happen before the project. And our proposal includes collecting, analyzing, and processing those. Really, the samples only have to be collected before the project, that they could be processed and analyzed at a later date. Similarly, one of the permit conditions is for benthic monitoring if a project is conducted in the summer. And that is looking at the bugs in the sand to see how they change before and after a project. So collecting those samples in the Barra area and along the beach would be the bare minimum. Finally, we do a survey of the beach for our regular monitoring twice a year. At the south end, since it's a fairly straight section of shoreline, those surveys have been every 500 feet. The permit requires surveys to be every 250 feet. So that would add about another 15 profile lines to survey as part of our before, after, and out year monitoring. Now we're hoping to finish it this past week, but the weather didn't cooperate, so we're going to do that work next week. We're going to be out there surveying. We're going to collect the lines because I'm not going to let that hold up any part of the project. So those are the three pre-project environmental conditions that kind of have to be done to comply with the permits.
So out of those, it's the beach sediment sampling, which is about, you have 30,000.
That would include the pre and the post-project
Yeah.
sampling.
The surveys supplemental surveys, right, that you're talking about, but that also includes Hamlin Creek. But,
Correct.
Yeah, that's another 27,000. And then the Benthic and Fauna is 66. So those three items, which is roughly, 130,000 or something like that, would be required for us to do the renourishment, to get started, do the renourishment, and then some post analysis. But the other stuff would be more part of normal kind of monitoring, ongoing monitoring.
Each of those also include all the additional out-year monitoring that would be required. So like the Benthic monitoring isn't just the pre, it's the pre, the post, and the, on the beach, you have a 6-month and a 1 year, and on the
Yeah.
bar area, it's 1 and 3. So
Okay.
to get the project done, it would be a much lower number just to collect and store the samples. I don't have a number, but I could see less than $10,000 to go collect the samples and have them that somebody in the future could go process and analyze. When we were putting together this proposal, we were looking at our current monitoring agreement with the city that would cover through the spring or the winter 2029 survey. To get to the third year post-project survey would be the summer 2029 survey, which would be the end of our monitoring agreement. So what I thought maybe just the easiest kind of mechanically would be to add one additional survey, which is our normal monitoring survey, which is that last item, I think, and that's right in line with what the fees had been for the prior surveys. So that would get the city basically through the 3-year monitoring window and have everything done from start to finish, and really extend your normal monitoring that you do by one more survey. At that point, you could re-advertise or, have another contract for additional monitoring, and it would have that, the only additional item would be the 5th-year Barrow area survey, which would be easy to add into a separate contract.
Is the 3-year, that's one of the permit requirements?
It varies. The 3 years is for the beach profile surveys and also includes one of the Barrow area surveys would happen in year 3. Aerial photography is required through 3 years. So the bulk of it is included in that 3 years. That last Barrow area survey is the 5th year. So that's kind of the outlier.
Yeah, the only thing that is that we have a lot of unknowns as we go out that far because we're talking about potential other projects, groins and other things. And my preference is to let's figure out what we need to get this project done and started, in anything that is pre and post renourishment. And let's wait and see on the further the beach profiles and different things, depending on what projects we put in that have additional requirements, is my only concern. I hate going out that far without knowing, with all the unknowns that we have in between now and then.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I think that the level of monitoring as far as like the beach profile surveys, the detail that's been added with the higher resolution at the south end, you already have a very high resolution at the northeast end. That's going to be sufficient for any additional kind of permit requirements that would be used for permitting any structure, downdrift impacts analysis, things like that. So we're surveying the inlet at both ends of the island, so you have that data. So I think all that data is kind of there and included. Again, I completely understand our agreements with the city kind of have at any point, if, don't want to move forward, I think 7-day notice or something like that is, we can stop. So again, I tried to put this together in something that seemed like it made sense on a time-wise and just under the current agreements, but I'm happy to do whatever's in the interest of the city.
So John, are you thinking, so kind of like 1 year of work to get immediately post? Is that kind of
Anything
where
that's
you are?
required, anything that's required in the permit
But
that
also-
gets started and immediately post, but not the ongoing monitoring. That to me, we should look at it on an annual basis and say, hey, what's required based on any additional projects that we put in on the beach? Because it could change, right? And then we're incrementally kind of adding to what this requirement versus future requirements are. I think I'd rather just wait and see and do that on an annual basis.
So is
But-
post-project, Stephen, like the month they demobilize, when BCM says post-project, that's immediately, correct?
Within 30 days, the data has to be collected, and I think the report has to be out within
So
90 days or so.
if they end in November, December, you'd want to do everything that kind of gets through January.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know that it's going to take you, it would take you a bit to figure out, to cipher through the lines to get to that number, correct?
Yeah, I can't do
Figure
that
out
off
kind of through.
here tonight, but
I mean, I think it's all timelined out, but go ahead, Bev. you-
Bev?
Just a question, just trying to get clarification on the beach sediment samples. So I'm looking at table 1, where you have the green that is already covered under other contracts, correct, or previous contracts. So is that something that is new for the permitting process that you wouldn't have known about before? Or I'm curious why that wasn't included in your other contract, I guess, or is it?
It's been a permit condition before at 1,000-foot spacing. It's just not something that we included in our scope for the current project, honestly, because it's been sampled before. You're sampling beaches that have been altered, so the native isn't native anymore. It's nourished sand, so the comparison's a little odd. So yeah, it just wasn't included in our original engineering scope for the project. And it's
So
not
you
part
don't
of-
you don't do beach sediment samples now?
Not on a regular.
regular basis.
Not on the annual surveys, no. In prior permits, they've required out year, like year 1, year 3, they would require additional samplings, but they're just doing before and after the project for this one. Let's go.
Yeah, I was kind of going where Bev was, because I pulled up and I went back to I was trying to see what beach monitoring we are covering and everything. And in your proposal that we approved in October, it does say that special conditions of the state permit and BO will require certain monitoring and additional work to be completed in connection with the project. Conditions that are related to the actual construction of the project will be met in the scope of services proposed herein. So I think you said that all that was going, I thought the way I read it was going to be included. And then on task 7, it specifically references daily collection of sediment samples for, and so I'm trying to, I don't know the difference between a sediment sample, so I'm trying to understand, we got the twice a year collection. This specifically talked about sediment collections, and now we've got another group of sediment collections. So
Yeah,
I
so-
would assume that this, and I think you said that all those services would have been included in here, so I don't know. And I think that task 7 was like $345,000. So that was the biggest ticket in here.
Yeah, so the construction administration, we do take sediment samples during the project, kind of right around the discharge. It's not to the level that the state requires with the spacing, so it's a kind of a different do it at one time effort. There's a little bit of redundancy there, but it is a different kind of scope of work that is, permit condition, not necessarily looking at the sediment as it's coming out of the pipe, working with the contractor to say it's matching our expectations with the borings that are out there. Those are really what the daily ones are. And they're processed to a different level where it's more of a quick turnaround, kind of on a daily basis of just project management and quality control. Not sure if that's a good answer. or
I'd
not, but-
appreciate it if you could kind of go back and reconcile these and maybe come back to us with, I guess what John was asking is what would be required for us amongst all these agreements kind of collectively all together to look at what gets us through the project? And then maybe we can take, and I don't know if Hamlin Creek is part of that project, but.
Hamlin Creek is not part of a permit condition. That
Okay.
was something that was recommended, just based off of feedback we've had from owners in that area and potential issues with shoveling in the creek.
Okay, maybe we can just scope it to the project and get a kind of revised proposal. Would that be something we could do, or?
Yeah, man, I'm happy to, again, for
Delay
the,
project.
I know, we got to think about our timing here.
Or I don't know, if there's another way around this. 'cause yeah.
again, if if you're just wanting us to do the bare minimum to get the project going, which would be collecting the samples and storing them, then it's less than a $10,000 effort you have to spend a day on the beach or on the boat diving to collect these sediment samples and storing them, preserving the organisms. Same thing on the beach, and then the sediment samples is a similar thing, so.
So that would meet the permit requirement then, right? I mean,
It would just collect the samples. It wouldn't process them. It wouldn't include the analysis or reporting of it that would have to occur after the project.
which
so-
would be the post? I'm sorry.
You would have to collect additional samples post-project, but then
Okay.
you take the actual samples, you have to count the bugs and sort them into the different classifications. You have to do grain size, shell analysis, and mud content for the sand samples, plot all that data, and then prepare the summary report that would tell you what's going on with that data. So the collection is a fraction of the cost. The processing and reporting is another part of it.
Yeah, that's not what I was suggesting, though, is to just collect samples. My suggestion is you'd identify everything that's needed from the permit to start the project and to finish the project, and isolate that, but not future monitoring, years 2, 3, 4, 5, and because there's unknowns with that, to me. And what is needed to start and finish this beach renourishment project that's now come to light based on the permit coming out?
Yeah, so you can basically take the line items and divide them by the number of events. So like for the benthic monitoring, there's a total of 4 events, 1 pre, 1 post, and then 2 out years, different timeframes for the beach and the bar area, and that's also part of it. So those numbers can easily be identified, but I'd have to go through the task list.
But there's also a timing issue, right? That you need something to get started tonight.
Yeah,
Because we
could
got
I-
to get the project started, but.
I guess kind of hearing the direction John is going, could I suggest that council authorize tonight $10,000-$15,000 to collect the samples prior to them working? Between now and your next meeting, Stephen could take this proposal, cipher out what gets through basically the post-construction part of it.
Right.
Submit that for your consideration at your July meeting, but I think we'd have what we needed. We will have collected what we needed prior to the construction starting.
Yes.
And then you all could consider it in July, if that's the will of council.
Rusty?
Yeah, this proposed budget for the 6 tasks, is that, it's $216,000 basically, and there's personnel cost, direct expenses, that's all subject to change also, right?
No,
those
we're
are-
not going to exceed that. That's the.
Well, maybe not,
exceed
maybe
amount.
not with personnel costs, but other direct expenses, things are going to continue to go up expense-wise. If we delay any of this, do we risk having to spend more money on the back end, I guess, than the $216,000?
If this is our price for it, so if council elects to solicit bids for that or proposals, then you may encounter higher cost or lower cost. I can't predict that.
Yeah, Rusty, I guess my expectation would be kind of what I'm hearing a direction would be, we would at least do what's required before they show up. You all could consider the work through the project to the end of completion, but then there would be a whole series of additional requirements they're gonna have to be done by somebody. But we could solicit proposals from other firms that could do this type of work. So it's not that you would be saving any money, it would be you could consider proposals by other firms to do the same work. And, I think, I'm also hearing there may be a desire, instead of doing kind of 5-year or longer-term agreements, doing almost an annual agreement for each year of work, I think I'm hearing.
David?
But it's not not doing the work. I mean, it is required monitoring
Right.
and sampling and surveying that has to be done by somebody.
I think you kind of went along, what you just said was going along my thoughts of getting through, I guess, the next year of what we have to do, and then recompeting all the follow-on monitoring and Hamlin Creek as if we choose to do that one too, as a follow-on. Now, as far as, I guess this would be more of a question from a contracting standpoint, would be better to do like a first year with option years out to 5 years before we recompete, or would it be, because I think what we tend to do is we do an annual, and then if we have to turn around next year and do another annual, instead of, we're trying to avoid that awarding back to increased scope, I guess, is where my concern comes from. When I look at this, we're increasing an existing scope of an existing contract. We should have had that in the original bid or rebid it. So I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever.
To rebid this portion of the work
Well, anything past this first year, after the,
outside of their existing two agreements, their monitoring agreement and the
Right.
construction administration. Yeah, I mean, that's a path. I think we have a timing problem.
well, that's why I said, going back to what John,
Right.
anything past,
Part of it, we have a
This-
timing problem with.
anything going into next year, or even wherever it makes sense to cut it off and stop and then rebid it. My other question would be, currently, we're doing semi-annual monitoring. Is there any benefit of the effects of if we only went back to just one annual to cover some of this other additional work? Because we're just now renourishing all the beach, so I would think
And we are doing a lot of monitoring.
We're doing a lot of monitoring.
Yeah, that was, the semi-annual thing, I think, started a few years ago at request of council. Most beaches we do are annual. Just we were seeing a lot of very rapid changes in areas that it hadn't happened, and we're in the middle of a shoal attachment, so it didn't make sense, but I'm perfectly comfortable with annual monitoring with a caveat that if a major storm event happens, that, the city be prepared to come in after a storm to monitor it, which you would want to do for FEMA purposes anyway.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion in that we approve $15,000 tonight for the collection of samples, and that we revisit the breakdown of these costs at our July meeting as discussed.
Second? Second,
Second.
sorry.
Nicole, does that get you what you need?
Yes, sir.
Maybe. Douglas, to get you? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nicole, do we need to,
We need to vote on that.
the original? Or that was the amendment?
The original. Well, there's
Yeah.
an original.
The original for the
change
line
order,
item.
And we've just amended the amount from what it is to 15K.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Next item, old business, update on TST projects. We're not considering or voting on anything tonight. We have the COG that's been doing the mobility study will be here, Douglas, I think August, if I
Yes.
remember right. So felt it kind of prudent just to wait on those results before we decided if we wanted to change paths on anything. But Douglas, update on,
Yeah, I will just say that since your last meeting and at your last meeting, we talked a little bit about, kind of how the project developed, when did it get authorized, how long has it been in the pipeline, questions about can we kind of wait on one project to amass funding for future projects? So we have been in contact with the county Public Works staff and the TST staff on all of those questions, as well as just kind of looking into our own files and records. And we've put in your packet a little bit of a brief history, and I guess to summarize that, the projects were embraced at a council meeting by council. They then went to the TST committee. The TST committee found them worthy projects. And I guess to back up to that, I do think that some of the impetus was a petition that came to the city from residents, really around, I think, 4th and 5th, requesting the Palm Boulevard sidewalk. So went through a process with.
That was requesting a crosswalk, not a sidewalk, correct?
Correct. Which needs a sidewalk to
Yeah.
connect to, but
But like,
that's correct.
but that petition said nothing about a sidewalk. It was the county
Yes,
that
that
then
is
came
correct.
in and said, we can't put in a crosswalk unless we have a sidewalk.
That's correct.
But
so-
it's- Technically, it's SCDOT, but.
Or sorry,
Yeah.
but I guess that's been my issue all along, is that it seems like we are requesting something but not really knowing fully what we're asking for or what's going to be included in what we're asking for. So this whole thing gets started by a petition for people that want a crosswalk, but we have no idea if those people that signed this petition want a sidewalk, if that's what's needed to get the crosswalk. So, I don't think that this petition ever, it's only 4 lines. I don't think there's any idea in this petition that there was going to be a sidewalk included. So I think that's where our problem is. And I don't think it's necessarily our fault, it's just, I understand the steps that got us here.
Right.
But
I agree with that. I think the petition has nothing to do with the sidewalk. But, it's still, I think it's something that, our mobility study is still something we need to be considering as we get the results back from that at some point fairly soon. I have a relative that lives in the 200 block, and they don't want it either.
Yeah, Douglas, can you just keep going with your update?
Yeah,
and then we
so,
can get to-
so we have a little bit of context as to how it came to be. We have basically heard that there is not a way to guarantee future funding from TST. So there is this, there is a program, we can continue to ask for money from it, but they can't really guarantee that future phases of that sidewalk will be approved. They have told us that construction, and I think it's the fourth quarter of '26, correct, on that? So not really too far off in the distant future is the county planning to put this project out to bid. And
Sorry, when was that? What was the date?
fourth quarter of this year, so coming up pretty quickly. They are planning to do the Palm Boulevard project before the J.C. Long project. J.C. Long project, I think, is first quarter of '27, is that correct? Yep. So they're pretty close to being ready to break ground on the projects. As Mayor mentioned, this has been, we've had the COG doing a mobility study kind of in the background of all of this. That's coming to a head and a final, kind of a final product in August. So that's really a status update of where we are. I think you all have indicated, kind of a desire to revisit the value of the project once you had the context. So happy to try to get any other details about it.
Is
Whatever the
it
will.
possible to hit the brakes? Or is it already
Yes,
That's-
I think it is possible to hit the brake. If council was to say, we don't want to do the project, we want to pull the plug, I think that's possible.
but that time is,
I think I think it's
Decreasing.
getting pretty close. I would say that within the next couple of months, we'd need to give them that notice.
Yeah, but again, I think when we have the mobility coming in August, I think we owe it to
Yes.
ourselves to listen to that and see what they have. Scott, Bev,
Do we
John.
know that, do we know if the mobility study, one of the things I would like to see is the viability of even going from Breach to 10th? Because if you walk along Palm Boulevard, there are several blocks where there are homes that are probably within 20 feet of the road itself. So our grand plan of putting a sidewalk all the way down, I think we're literally going to be in middle of driveways or right up upon the front doors of some of these homes along that way. And I don't know if the mobility study is going to address that. I guess the other thing I would like to ask is if in fact we decide we don't want to pursue this, I don't know if TST dollars are mobile, but if we could apply some of those dollars to something like the AI traffic light, which is $127,000 or $150,000, which is something that is absolutely beneficial for all traffic and flowing on the island. So.
Yeah, I don't think, from my understanding, they go through a cost-benefit process on each project. So I do not think we would have the freedom to kind of move money around.
Just thought
I
I'd
think we
ask,
certainly
yeah.
could say, we don't want to do this project, we'll reapply for a different project in the future. So I don't think there's an ability to say, you have access to money to shift it around.
I sort of feel like we've ended up in a place where the people that were asking for something didn't get what they want, and the people that didn't ask for anything are getting something they don't need. And we don't have a plan to really take it from beginning to fruition. So I think we do have, there's a lot of outstanding questions on how we actually get from point A to point B.
I will just say that from working with the Council of Governments on their product, it is not an engineering, it's not a survey level document. So if there is a.
They're just looking at their specific project. They're not looking at the whole thing.
It's very conceptual. There is not a survey of the right-of-way width and the separation of pavement that's included in their project. So it's very conceptual. To your point about feasibility, that I don't think the mobility study will address that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Bev?
I was just going to say, I think we do need to wait until this mobility study comes out, and listening to the planning commission, they were tasked with coming up with the 5 projects out of 52 or whatever it is that was listed on the original study. But I think what needs to happen is that we need to, years have passed between when we applied, I guess, or when we thought that this might be a good idea, whether it was a sidewalk or whether it's just the crosswalk. But I think we have to decide, is this a viable project, as Scott said? So I think there's some decisions to be made as to, is it worth it right now? Is this a priority on our list? And if there is a plan, if it's a viable project, then we have to come up with the funding for it, or a plan for the funding. We're going to request it every year from Charleston County, or go for grants for somewhere else, or put up the money ourselves in our budget. I don't know, we just have to have, I think, that serious conversation at some point.
Yeah, well, let me get John and then Jimmy.
I've got my question
Jimmy.
answered.
Thank you.
You know, whatever we need to do, I'm ready to stop this project on this sidewalk from going forward down that end of the south end of the beach. I mean, nobody wants it, and everybody seems to be detrimental to their property. And if we can stop it, I'm all in favor of that.
I think you all can stop it.
Well, let's do it.
I think that, I guess the will of council is to wait. I think what I'm hearing is that you all would like to wait till you get the walkability study, hear from that, make a decision shortly thereafter, and proceed.
That sounds
And
good.
and will that timing work for Charleston County then?
We'll
Is that you?
verify what
Okay.
it does.
I was gonna say, can we kind of let them on
Preemptively
notice
let
that
them know.
this is something that we're, like,
Yeah.
please
Yeah, that's
don't
easy.
start shoveling?
They wouldn't construct during season anyway. I mean, Bev, I hear you, it's just tough when you have these long tails on these projects from, the request to the county, to their approval, to construction. I mean, to keep saying yes, no, and we haven't done that until now, potentially. We just got to think about that, how that works. Douglas, anything else? You good? New business items, discussion and consideration of Isle Palms becoming a federally managed beach. You can see our cost is $1.5 million total, with $1.5 million coming from the federal level, $750,000 in year one. I know y'all talked about this at Ways and Means. I don't believe there was any action on it, so if we can get or Douglas, you want to do any discussion here before we?
No, I guess a little bit like the sidewalks. This is one that we have, it's a project that we've been asking for consideration by the Army Corps for probably 2 years now. It has finally kind of gotten to the point where the Army Corps, and I guess specifically Lindsey Graham's office, has offered, and I think made arrangements to include the federal portion of the share of this project in their budget. So it's kind of coming to a head where if the city was in a position to not want to pursue that, I think we need to give that direction pretty soon. So again, we've been trying to be sure we understand all of the steps and all of the costs along the way. Long and the short of it, it will cost us ultimately, cost the city $1.5 million. We think it's going to be, we're hearing between $750,000 and $500,000 for the first year. So it's a multi-year project, and this is just the feasibility study. And I think the hanging point for city council has been, if that $3 million total is spent and the Army Corps finds it to be a viable project, would the city be able to secure the necessary permits to make the project ever come to fruition?
Easement.
I'm sorry.
Easement.
Secure the permanent easements to be able to allow the project to progress. I think we're seeing other communities that are struggling with this point. So I think it's, again, kind of coming to a head as to whether or not we want to spend this money if at the end of the road, we think that we may not be able to make the projects happen.
Let's get a motion and a second, then we can have some discussion.
I make a motion. I don't know how to do this in the
Motion.
positive.
Motion to approve.
He's making a motion
I make a
consider.
motion that we
approve.
do not approve.
No.
You gotta do the positive.
I knew this was coming. That's why I said-
Motion to approve, and then you vote however you want to
Motion
vote.
to approve.
I make a motion that we approve.
All right, is there a
This-
second?
Second.
Thank you. Rusty.
Oh, okay, well, $750,000 for a feasibility study, and you'd have to have 100% permanent easements. I just think it's a bad investment, quite honestly, for us to even consider $750,000.
Well, and Douglas, if I remember right, I know to get into the feasibility study, we put from 10th to Breach, and we threw in Wild Dunes and the chance that there might be a change of parking venue
That's
up there.
correct.
But let's say that's not going to happen, then, I mean, all we're really talking about is 10th to Breach Inlet that would possibly hit the cost-benefit analysis on the Army Corps. 10th to 58th.
I'm guessing you can cut to the chase and call the vote on this.
Pretty
one.
darn healthy. Well, this is for the public a little
No,
bit,
I understand.
So, at its face value, when we started looking at this on the ad hoc committee, it looked like a great safety net, it looked like a good idea, it looked like a way to help supplement a $200 million number that we were struggling with over the next 35 years with work with Stephen and others to say, what's it going to cost us if we have all these assumptions? So, I mean, it's complicated, it's lengthy, it's expensive. I get it. I mean, you're right. We could call it, but this is a resident issue
agree
that
with you.
they're going to be thinking, looking at us and saying, man, you had a safety net that you could have gone and gotten. Yes, but permanent easements, 50-year contract.
To me, it feels like it's a very expensive lottery ticket.
Yeah.
If we got it, it would be
It's a very
fabulous.
expensive insurance policy,
Yeah,
for sure.
But
Yeah.
we're not even guaranteed, it's not insurance because we're not guaranteed to get it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the hard
Right.
part for me.
Yeah.
But I will agree with you. When they came and spoke to us, it seemed.
It was attractive at the
It
time.
seemed very attractive, but then you start to look at the details and.
Mayor,
Yep.
I'd just like to say, I appreciate you detailing to the public that there's so many strings attached to it that we really don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, just not sure it's a fit for us.
Right, but people at home need to know that.
Pauley's is still struggling. I think they're still down to 2 homeowners that are held out, and that's been years' worth of work. Edisto is going to be very interesting to see where they go, because they just started the easement process, and I talked to the mayor there yesterday. I won't say what I think they'll wind up doing, but that one's going to be interesting to watch as well.
Well, I think one last comment, this doesn't mean if things were dramatically to change with either the finances or
Absolutely.
anything else, it's
Yeah.
not something that we can't revisit down the road if need be.
So the motion is to approve going down this path. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Thank you. See how easy that was?
I think it's pretty unanimous nay vote. I can't remember.
I know, I'm not sure that's it. This next item, the awareness for beach music video on the beach, we can pull that because they have decided to figure out another way to do that without needing us. And the only reason it came to council, just for future reference, is we don't allow cars on the beach unless there's a council approval. So that's the only reason it got on the agenda, but we do not need to take care of that tonight. Boards and commissions report, council committee reports are attached, Board of Zoning Appeals, minutes are attached, Planning Commission, minutes are attached, Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee, minutes are attached, Environmental Advisory Committee, minutes attached, and Beach Preservation Committee, minutes are attached. Ordinances, resolutions, and petitions. Second reading, ordinance 2026-04, an ordinance to raise revenue and adopt a budget for the city of Isle of Palm, South Carolina for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. Is there a motion?
Motion to
Motion.
approve.
Second.
Comments, questions, thoughts? Rusty?
Yeah, I would like to say that, I mean, there are things in this budget that I didn't approve with initially, and I still stand on what I think is, would have been important for us to compensate our employees even more than what we did. But I like a lot of what's in this budget, and we've got some huge ticket items in here that we've got to do, and just about all this budget is money we need to spend to, to protect the city, to take care of business. And even though there are certain line items I don't necessarily agree with, I will support the budget.
Dave?
I'll go ahead. I was kind of on the same, going back and forth. It's at a kind of high level. I think it's a good budget. There's some little things in there I still think we can work on as the year goes along. I don't think it's like set in stone once we pass this, that we can't revisit some of the smaller items. So I'm in favor of it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Sorry. Ashley, sorry, Ashley, I haven't been good about.
aye.
Okay, thank you. Not to put you on the spot for a vote, but I hadn't been good about keeping up with you. Sorry about that. Next is ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance to regulate new and existing outdoor lighting for residential structures. I understand we need to defer this as well.
That's correct. David, you agree?
Yeah,
Defer.
the wrong version got in the packet, so to give people time to see what we had passed at the earlier meeting.
Next item, first,
I'm confused.
sorry.
Sorry, I'm confused. I thought, so the first read, this is the version from the first read.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we have to have the same version on the second read, do we not?
So I-
We do
I
not.
made a
Okay.
revision. We revised it on the first read.
I don't think council has done that.
Uh-uh.
So I think what I'm hearing, to kind of answer both your points, what is in the packet is the ordinance that would be considered for second reading. But I think David would like to propose
Right.
amendments at the second reading, and those amendments are not in your packet.
Correct.
Is that correct, David?
I'll guess so, yes.
Well,
I thought we approved the modification at
That's,
the first
yeah, that's going to be,
reading.
that's going to be a problem. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Without it going back to committee or something, but.
Well, because, I mean, I think what you want, David, right, is the EAC's version,
Yes.
not the Planning Commission version. Because the Planning Commission didn't pass that version. They amended it.
Yeah, the version, basically the version that's in your packet is the planning commission.
Is the Planning Commission.
And I think David
Correct.
would like to propose the EAC version.
So
That's the one that was out of
Yeah, we've
first.
already kicked that out.
so in the interest of transparency, do we not have to, shouldn't we start over with the first reading of a new, otherwise, I call it goes in as a bicycle and comes out a tractor. It has nothing, like, it really doesn't look like the same ordinance in the interest of transparency.
Corio's done each other, right?
And I've asked you this question, so don't be.
Don't give a different answer.
The planning commission has considered the EAC version.
If they considered it, it doesn't have to go back to them, and y'all can vote on it at second reading. The extreme example to prove this is like if there was a rezoning request or something like that, and y'all were zoning a property for conservation. Planning commission approves it, council approves it at first reading. You can't change it to like a multifamily zoning classification if everything up to that point was conservation. But because planning commission considered the proposed changes, it does not have to go back.
Thank you, Mac.
Yeah.
So it would still be a second reading. It would kind of be like a substitute bill, kind of, sort of.
Well, you can change an ordinance you can change an ordinance at first reading, and you can change an ordinance even at second reading before it gets adopted.
Right, I just want the public to know which one we're looking at, and, when they're notified, I don't know, 4 days, 5 days before the meeting, right? Because that's when the packet comes out. That's not enough time, in my opinion.
And no,
I think it needs to sit on the,
Yes.
it needs to sit on the table as part of that legislative process. That's all I'm saying.
But if we were going to change this, you would have to make amendments to this to reflect what the original committee, the EAC, had proposed, and we would have to pass that and then go back and handle this.
But I thought we did that at first reading.
We did not. It was discussed. I think there was there was a kind of an expectation that at a future meeting, we would look at,
Is there a way
would
to
look at those
just,
changes.
like, scrap it and start over? Or is it one of those, it's like gone too far and it's too close, or?
I mean, if you want to start the process over and
Vote this
reject
down.
it tonight, I think it would still have to go through the normal zoning ordinance amendment procedure, which would be planning commission recommendation, first reading by council, advertising a public hearing 15 days in advance of the next meeting, and then second and final reading. So it would be, and plus whatever y'all's ordinance says on committees.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? So, let's see if you buy this one. So what if it's published as the EACs, right? Page 132, is that what I remember?
Right.
Right. So that one's published. It'll be a second read. Can we have it sit on the table for 30 days as a second read and then vote on it, not in July, but in August? Just so there's opportunity for residents to know what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you could do is just before your next meeting, when you advertise it and post the packet, you could just have your suggested revisions in there along with the original draft and just have two alternative ordinances for consideration at second reading.
How
Probably the
about
easiest way.
how about I suggest that we have an extra month to sort it out, and we'll start from scratch. I mean, it's not, it would be first reading next month. It would add 1 month to an ordinance that's been in the works for
Yeah.
a year and a half.
Don't we have to vote to kill this one then?
Or
Yeah,
defer.
I think so. I mean, that would be, if they're agreeable to just starting from scratch, which might be simplest at this.
I feel like it's getting
State.
very confused.
It is confusing. Would we have to go through planning commission again?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
But they
Left
can
it
do that
alone.
the same, I mean, that you don't lose time by going through the
Okay,
planning committee. And they're all very familiar with the.
Okay.
And it can start at this body too before it goes to planning commission.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
So we can
Okay.
do first reading, July, public hearing, second reading, August. And it would be done. And in that time, we would go through the planning commission.
So again, we're going to need a motion to approve
So, yeah,
that we could. if
do we need to
don't-
take action on this tonight then?
I think so. I think you've got it still kind of.
Since it's
dangling
at a
as
second
first
reading level.
Yeah.
We have to.
All right.
But if
So
I
you give
don't,
that first
if I
reading.
want what we just discussed, I have to vote against
Correct.
this.
So you
Just
make a
like the
motion to
Army
approve
Corps.
and
We just
then
did.
vote
Yeah.
against it.
Okay.
Katie, did you make that motion?
Sure, motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay.
Well.
Whew, we have complicated the world, that's for darn sure. Next item is first reading ordinance, and these are typically by title only, ordinance 2026-05, an ordinance to create a code of ethics.
Can I have a motion to suspend the rules and we discuss the two ordinances if there's any kind of questions for anybody has to ask on these?
Is there
So-
a
I'll
second to
second that.
suspend the rules of order?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Don't you have to have a motion first?
She just made one.
She made one.
No, I mean to approve the
Put it on
motion.
table. So he's got to put it on the table first.
Okay.
Yeah, amend the minutes to make it look like that's actually what happened. But someone would make a motion to approve.
Yeah.
Put it on the floor, because it's not on the floor yet.
Got it.
Then you
Then we
need to
suspend the
suspend the rules.
I make a
Yeah.
motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you,
Now we're
Jimmy.
suspending the rules of order.
Yeah.
All in
Motion,
favor?
oh, aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Deb, or somebody, a little background on this one?
Yeah, so I'm the one who brought this before the admin committee. And let me get my notes here. So, number one, I ran on this, which is why I wanted to do it. But the other reason is that I wanted to provide a process for ethics complaints. We started with the code of conduct. The code of conduct was voluntary, and the process I did was I took that and redlined it, and then added the process around that code of conduct. So much of that code of conduct that you see in the ordinance should be very familiar to you. There were some changes to it, some tweaks. Mac and his team took that and made sure that the language was compatible with state law, put in some safeguards that were intended to narrow the scope of complaints, created a more neat, a review process with an independent hearing officer so that we didn't have accuser, judge, and jury doing it. And it brings closure to a complaint. So that was really the main goals, I guess, of what was in this ordinance. Anybody have any questions? I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. That was the impetus for it. We went through 5 versions. I think we ended up with version 5, and that's what is in the packet. So there were a lot of back and forth between admin committee, took several months, admin committee, and between the attorneys to look at this. So I think it's a good ordinance. I think it's a good workable, and I'm hoping that we can get approval.
Mac, what's your view of life here? Because before this, it was just a document, not an ordinance. I think this does give some more validity to it, for sure.
Yes, so certainly comfortable with it from a legal standpoint. Y'all met James. He came to the meeting, but James was at Mount Pleasant with 4 years before this. We both had some practical just concerns about it, less legal concerns, just that this could be misused for political or personal reasons, and that's just based on past experience working with municipalities and seeing these types of ordinances get passed. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, y'all are generally held accountable by the electorate. You can try to publicly embarrass each other and that kind of thing. That's about all you can do. And so anyways, that was the practical concern. We wrote that, I think.
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about it.
What I wrote, just way back when we originally sent this, we were concerned about the possibility that this is a process that could be used for political purposes. The hearing procedure is certainly lawful, but it's fairly involved, may be more complicated than necessary. From a practical perspective, it's an admirable effort, but it may create more issues than it solves if it becomes a vehicle for political or personal complaints. But that said, we worked to try to put in safeguards to narrow the scope of the complaints, preserve the jurisdiction of the Ethics Commission, and create a more neutral review process. So it ultimately comes down to, this is a policy decision for y'all, but I don't want y'all to pass and be like, why didn't you say you had practical concerns? So I told you, but it's up to y'all.
And, oh, I'm sorry.
Rusty?
Yeah, I might have overlooked it, but is there a requirement for all council members, mayor, board, and commission members to sign, or just voluntary, like the code of conduct was?
This would be the rule of law at Alapalms. It would be an ordinance rather than a voluntary
So
signature thing.
it would be mandatory, basically.
It would,
Correct.
yes.
I mean, essentially, as soon as you take the oath, you're you're abiding by this ordinance.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I mean, I look at this, there's a lot of, seems to me like a lot of boilerplate language in here, and then there's other municipalities that have done something similar to this, and certainly it's very familiar in terms of how it's kind of crafted after our code of conduct. But, you know, what we had before, we didn't have any way to resolve an issue. If we, you know, if there was an issue that came up, there was really no way to take it to the next step. At the end of the day, I mean, a council member, they can recuse themselves on a vote or not, and then it can be held accountable that way. But like you said, it might come down to just a big case of embarrassment more than anything.
In terms of this body's jurisdiction, but in your example, like if somebody lawfully was required to recuse themselves because their vote could influence a decision where they financially benefited or their family member, I mean, then you're dealing with the State Ethics Commission and financial penalties and investigations, and that is, I mean, that's the body that enforces it. This body can privately reprimand, publicly reprimand, or censure. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, an example of this, I mean, we, you know, our council, we have 9 members, so at any given time, when we have council campaigns, you know, we're going to have a mix of people that are running for council. Some of them are property managers, some of them are, you know, realtors, obviously, business people, retired folks like myself, whatever. There's a big mix there. You know, it just seems unlikely to me and unwieldy if you have the expectation that anybody that sits on this council is going to have to recuse themselves, you know, for a property management matter, if they were, you know, a property manager or a realtor or, you know, whatever, that they would have to recuse themselves from a vote like that in every instance just because of their association, even if they didn't have any personal financial benefit. They're just part of that organization. Is that going to be
Yeah, I
a
mean,
problem?
so if it's
Obviously-
generally applicable to everybody in that world, like all realtors or all property managers, that's probably different. And like, ultimately, I'm gonna give you a lawyer answer. It depends. If you have a question about it, we certainly can analyze it, talk to the Ethics Commission, and provide an opinion on that as to whether recusal is necessary or not. I normally do it. I mean, look, I'm on the school board, so if I question it, I'll normally recuse myself just to avoid perception issues. We never get in trouble for recusing.
But that part of it's coming from the state ethics. That's not anything new in this ordinance.
No.
That's correct.
Correct.
Right.
That's still.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I feel like this ordinance does a good job of,
It just codifies the
tightens
code
it.
of ethics.
yeah, it puts everything out there and there's a path forward and, you know, I think it makes a lot of sense.
You too.
There were-
Ashley, go ahead.
Yeah, so, I think, you know, overall, this is, you know, well-written, and I do like that there's some sort of accountability, you know, if things were to happen, but the sentence under Part C, under the general standards of conduct, that says, where that ends in avoid the appearance of impropriety, and that just kind of seems maybe what Rusty was kind of referring to, because that's just somebody's perception, which isn't necessarily, at least that's how I'm reading it, and that, you know, just because somebody perceives something that they think is unethical or whatever doesn't mean that it actually is. And so I don't know, maybe Matt can provide some clarity on that sentence, and it just seems like that was kind of a dubious or a potential loophole, I guess, to like get somebody in trouble just because it's something seemed unethical.
Yeah. Bev,
If I can, before, so there were no changes to that section from the code of conduct.
From the current.
From the current code of conduct, that's what's in there right now.
I mean, I agree with you that the appearance of impropriety is a subjective term. It could appear one way to somebody and another way to somebody else. So if council desires, we can certainly tighten that language. But that is, as Bev said, that's a direct pull from the current code of ethics.
Okay. I mean, do you see that as something we should change? Just, I mean, I don't like that, you know, that, like you said, the somebody's perspective, or, I don't know. Sorry, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, Bev, what do you want to do with that?
I mean, I have no problem with, tightening up that
Alternative
language if
language,
and, maybe when we get to hopefully we'll get to second read, and when you do that, you can easily suggest an amendment.
Scott?
No, that's fine.
Mac, I didn't mean to cut you off if you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I mean, ultimately, these are policy questions.
Yeah.
You know, that first sentence is pretty subjective. You could probably strike that entire first sentence and just have it, members shall refrain from abusive conduct, personal charges, or verbal attacks upon the character or motives of other members, the city staff, or public members shall practice civility and decorum during public meeting. I mean, those are actual
Those are,
things you're
yeah,
not going to do these
tangible.
things, as opposed to how you appear.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next is ordinance 2026-06, an ordinance to amend remote meeting attendance policy. Can we get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
I feel like Ashley should have seconded that.
Sorry.
Ashley should be the second on that one.
Oh, no, I don't want to,
No, I'm
I'll talk
sorry,
about
kidding.
second reading.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. No resolutions and proclamations, capital projects update. Douglas, know it's in the packet. We have an item we may need to take care
Yes,
of here.
Yeah. In your packet was a capital projects update. First project on that update is the Waterway Boulevard multi-use path. We have had an issue develop with that project that stems from conflicts that our drainage pipe is having with existing water and sewer lines. Our project manager, Thomas and Hutton, has been working with our contractor, the Bastion Group, to come up with the most cost-effective solution to that conflict. We have been talking about a change order for now several weeks. I just got notice this morning of a tentative, and I think it is a solution, but I don't have the actual documentation or the recommendation. I will get eventually a change order document to execute, which I don't have now. But we have a recommendation from Thomas and Hutton to execute a change order in the amount of
102-100.
$102,100.50 for a change order to the Bastion Group to address the conflicts that they've come into. That is not listed on your agenda tonight, and so council really has at least two paths forward. One would be to find that exigent circumstances exist. I think that case can be made in that if council was to delay on consideration of that change order, the contractor will have to sit idle for some amount of time. We'll probably have to demobilize until work can continue and then come back at an additional charge. And also, we're kind of we're always wanting to get these projects behind us and completed. So kind of option A would be to consider the change order tonight would require 2/3 of a vote of council and exigent circumstances. The other option would be to hold a special meeting where 24 hours of notice could be given, but that meeting, if that was the will of council, would have to happen in fairly short order to meet the contractor's deadlines.
And Douglas, I guess, just again, for context, this started at like a $400,000+ number. Thomas and Hutton, Bastion, everybody, solutions worked out for the next 3 conflicts where there's conflicts to get it to a $100,000 number.
That's correct.
I think Bashan put some money on the table, Thomas and Hutton did, we obviously may have to, but maybe pretty significant work on everybody's part.
That's correct.
I mean, do we have like 10 days? I mean, this change out order came out today?
Well, and I actually don't even have it yet today. I have an email describing the change order. So yes, I think if council wanted to delay some amount of time, that would certainly be reasonable. It would require that you obviously set a special meeting, come back.
For a single item.
On July the 4th?
I would not set it that.
Can't get here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Wouldn't make it.
You got your remote ordinance, you can.
I mean, first reading
Set up a
anyway.
quorum.
I guess you said 2 things to me. You said, one, that it would stop work and may fall within the parameters of modifying the agenda. But then you said a second thing is we always want to complete these projects on time, which wouldn't in my estimation. And I think it's a slippery slope to start to get into adding things to the agenda without putting the public on note with the information. And we've been pretty good, I think, as a council of not doing that. And and since you don't have the change order, I've got a lot of questions around what precipitated this and how it does. So I would recommend that we could wait and do a special meeting when we had the change order in hand. We had more explanation on really what happened to this thing and why it's required, and that we preserve the transparency of the meeting, of what we approved to the public.
That is certainly the safest approach from a legal FOIA standpoint.
I mean, Douglas, I'm assuming we'll have it tomorrow, next day, kind of time frame, a change
Yes,
order.
I would think so. I mean, I think that if a special meeting was the will of council, we'd want to have it within a week. And as it's been mentioned, I mean, I don't know that it would be a terribly long meeting.
No, it'd be a short one, but.
Yeah, but it's,
Give us time to get the information and digest it, for sure, yeah.
I mean, that's John's opinion. I mean, is that where others are as well, sounds like.
I feel.
I can't vote on something I have nothing and no information about. I mean,
Well, I think if we were going to vote on it, you would get more information tonight.
yes.
well, we're voting on approving 101,000 change order, aren't we? Isn't that's the ask?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the explanation is the email that you all have received, several emails about the matter, but could certainly have that, can have Thomas and Hutton here to explain it, could provide, additional information, context, so we'd actually have the documentation pretty quickly, I think.
So if we looked at the 30th,
Can we do it Friday? Is this, I mean.
well, if we're not going to get anything until tomorrow, if you need
Yeah.
some digest time. And I think it would be helpful to have Thomas and Hutton here personally.
30
Nicole,
is good for me.
You're a no?
That's what this is for, it's YouTube's for.
Do what?
Don't put it around me.
What about others on the
You guys vote.
30th?
I'm good.
The 30th does not work for me, but
No, that's all right. We-
How about the 1st? Is
Yeah, first.
Wednesday good?
I could do Wednesday.
I could do Wednesday.
I could do
Yeah,
Wednesday.
First.
I'm good either one.
I'm good either one.
Ashley, you good Wednesday?
I'll have to do a Zoom.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Sort of, if we said 5, 4,
Five's good.
Five.
4, yeah.
so 5 o'clock on the 1st.
Yep.
Okay, you were good with 1st?
I think so.
Okay. Douglas, you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Anything else on capital projects update you want to hit? while we-
No, the only other kind of big news is we do have a lease amendment with the restaurant in place. So that, we're past that hurdle. We have engaged Klein Engineering to begin the design for that project. And we are setting, and I think it's been set for this, later this week, kind of a kickoff design meeting with the Islander and our engineers. So that's progress made on that one. The dredging, we have dredging at the marina. We have actually been approached by the property owners that own the other spoil site that the city opted not to go to. They've expressed an interest in reconnecting over that point. So we're gonna have that meeting with them. Yeah, and the beach, you will heard a lot about in the beginning of the meeting.
Beached
So
out.
That's it.
Few updates on the lobbyist side from federal and state level. State level legislatures are back in session tomorrow to hopefully approve a budget, and we'll get some information on specific IOP items in addition to beach renourishment funding level. So hopefully that'll be coming shortly if they approve a budget tomorrow. There being no further business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Off record at